Hi guys, it's Emily from Novelle Novels and welcome to today's video. This is the book reviewer tag. This was created by the lovely Gemma from Read a Book Gem, who you guys know is one of my great friends on here. She is so eloquent, intelligent and amazing. She loves historical fiction. I'm going to link her video for this because it's got all the prompts. Yes, I'm being lazy. It's half term. What do you expect? But also she writes it all, the prompts, describes the prompts eloquently and perfectly. And I feel that's the best place to check them out. I will tag two or three people at the end of this verbally, and then there may be a couple of extras added in the descriptions because I put on Twitter, do people want to be tagged? Because sometimes I tag the same people all the time and sometimes they don't always want to do it, and sometimes I find that I like tag videos to shout out other channels, which I find is quite helpful. That's how I've grown, and I think anything I can do for other fellow fantastic booktubers, and there are some booktubers that I would love to see do this, so let's get on with the prompts. Prompt number 1. Where do you post your reviews outside BookTube, e.g. Goodreads, social medias, retailers and blogs? Well, in general I do Goodreads, although I've not done as many at the moment. I'm reading so many books. So to me, to actually write a review on Goodreads, it's got to be either good enough, bad enough, or I'm writing it for a blog tour or a gifted book, or like, you know what I mean, those sort of things. But I do need to get better at it. I've just started putting reviews on Amazon. I know that can sometimes help retailers. I know that I'll do it for, like when I read Charlie from Charles Heathcote, his books. Anything to shout out an author, especially an indie author, I really want to do that. But I do need to get better at it again, I know that much. Next one is number 2. What is your star rating system? Now, before I did the DNF tag, I didn't realise that I could actually do a DNF shelf. So a lot of my books that have got 1 star on Goodreads are books that I've DNF'd, but I've not figured out how to do the DNF shelf. 2 stars is books that I have read till the end, but I hated it and I didn't want to do it. So if I've read it to the end, it's normally because I've been doing a buddy read, or because it's a book that was important that I felt that I needed to push through and get to the end. Normally, if it's got a 2 stars, I've regretted pushing it that far, but that's a 2 star. A 3 star is a book that's average. It's good, and it's one I've enjoyed, but it's not explosive, it's not fantastic, it's not one I will want to reread again, it's not one that has anything special magic in it, in my opinion. Obviously, my opinions are my opinions. Please don't, everyone's welcome to their own opinion. I'll never slate an author or what they've written, but it's just not been explosive. 4 stars is a good book. It's one that I will reread if it's not a thriller, because obviously you can't reread thrillers. But it's one that I think lacked that completion. So either the start, middle or end lacked something in it. It doesn't have to be anything massive, but it's not been explosive. It's not one that I would like to go, oh my god, everyone's got to read that. It's not one I get so super excited about. And you know, it's me, I get super excited. Then there's 5 stars. A 5 star is a book that I have loved, that I will reread, that I will shout it out to the world, that I've loved from start to finish, that I could not put a fault on, that has given me all the emotions, that's been absolutely explosive. And I'm getting better at not doing 5 stars as much as I used to. I used to give 5 stars a lot more, but now I'm realising that to be a 5 star, it's got to be friggin' amazing. And certainly this month in October, I've realised I've had a lot more 4 star books, because there's not been many that have just gone ching. But I still don't want you to think, by the way, my 4 stars are still good, because I will try a lot of the 4 stars I want to reread, because I think there's more that I can get out of it. So sometimes with that 4 star, I've not necessarily read it all at the best time, so I've either rushed it or not read it all perfectly, and I've not got everything out of it. But I do sometimes do my half stars, because a half star is that little niggle, that little eek, that little could have just got, it's either could have, that little reached out a little bit more. So sometimes like a 2.5 is, I hated it, but there was that little bit of hope, that little bit that I liked, but not enough to up it a half star. I know I ramble. I hope that makes sense to you guys. The next one is number 3. Convince me to read your favourite book of yours in no more than 5 words. You know what favourite book I'm going to go for. I actually wanted to go for this one because even though I didn't put it as my number 1 of last year, it's the book that I keep going back to all the time, every time I think about it. Because last year I rated, what I see, my brain's just gone. This Is Going to Hurt by Adam Kay and The Binding. They were my two. Those two and this were my three favourite books. But this is the one that over the whole year I keep going back to and keep thinking about. So this is my favourite book that one of my favourite books, and it's one that even this year it's actually one I'm going to reread in December. A little hint for December. So I'm going to describe this in 5 words. Hope this. By the way, love Bridget Kemmer. I hope you guys think that I'm describing it right, especially you, Chloe. So here we go. Powerful, fantasy, curse, feisty, and disability. Those of you who know this book will know why I've linked those. But I love this book. Next one is, what book was the hardest to review and why? Now, to me, it was I Am by 17 Brushes with Death by Maggie O'Farrell, because it was a non-fiction book, and what she went through was the fact that she had 17 brushes of death means that, you know, if you have one brush of death, I've had a few, that's a nightmare. And I would never decry what this lady went through. Her writing was amazing. It was very powerful. But I don't want to judge her writing, because I can't judge any of that. But it wasn't necessarily for me, but I didn't know how to I don't want to describe it. I don't want to put her down because it's non-fiction, you know. You can't, what you've gone through is hell on earth, and I don't ever want to put anyone's writing down. I can't criticise that. I can't criticise her. But it was really hard to review because I don't want to be rude, and I don't want to say the wrong thing. As you guys know, I'm very well known for saying the wrong thing. But yeah, that was why. Kind of links into the next prompt. Are there any books you won't review or give a star rating to out of principle? I find it really hard. I don't necessarily won't review them, but I will give a star rating, but I struggle with it, and that is non-fiction books. Because they're non-fiction, because these things have happened to these people, because these things are real life, and real life is experiences, and it's not for we haven't stepped in that person's shoes. We haven't judged what this thing that has happened is been. We're not there. So if we're not there, we don't have a right to judge it. We don't have a right to judge it or judge how someone's described it, because how would we describe it? I find that sort of stuff really hard. So autobiographies, I would really struggle to star rating. I certainly wouldn't write a review on an autobiography, because I think it's not my place to say my opinion on what they've been through or how they've written it, because it was their decision to do it and they've gone through it. Does this make any sense? I'm really sorry if I'm not describing this very well. But yeah, I find certainly memoirs and things like that very hard to rate and review. Won't really try to avoid that. Now the next one is viewing reviews. This is the next section of questions, I believe. Do you want to read a book that has terrible reviews? I know. A book you want to read has terrible reviews. Do you still read it? Yes. Because everyone's got their own taste. It makes me more reluctant to read it. It makes me go in with question marks over my head. But I will still read it, because I know that my opinion is different from someone else's, and everyone's got their right to their own opinions on a book. I've only got a few more prompts now. Number 8. At what point do you view reviews of a book that you're reading? Before, during, or after? And do you still seek out reviews similar to your own or opposing? I don't tend to look at very many reviews on a book. But I tend to do it sometimes before. Sometimes it's never during, because I don't want it to criticise. I don't want it to mar how I'm feeling about the book. Sometimes before, but not very often. It's more actually afterwards I will review it to see whether if I've not liked it, has it been good for other people? Have I just missed something in it? Because sometimes where I do read quite fast, I can miss things. But if I'm being honest, it tends to be afterwards, because I don't want other people's reviews to affect how I've felt about the book. The next one was stand out from the crowd. Thanks, Gemma. This one was bloody hard work. I've had to go through all my Goodreads reviews. I've only gone up this year because I couldn't keep going back, otherwise it would take me ages. And so, sorry, Gemma. I've done my best. Hope you still like it. Number 9. What book have you read with the lowest on Goodreads that you have loved? Again, I find it hard, because in general I do tend to read books that people like. Hopefully I've kind of, on the average, it's very rare that I've got a book that I've shouted about amazingly, but that's not got the greatest reviews. But one of the ones I found, which actually really surprised me, because I really did enjoy it, and that's The Austen Girls by Lucy Worsley. It's not got a really like drastically low review on Goodreads, but it's actually one of the lowest ones out for a book that I've loved. And I got really surprised by this because it's a YA book. Lucy Worsley's fantastic, her writing's amazing. But it's a YA book on the Austen Girls, and I didn't get why people didn't love it. Now I know that Julie from The Hungry Bookworm wasn't a massive fan of it. It was one I actually bought full price, and it's one I've actually kept. You guys know me, I don't keep very many books. But it's on Jane Austen's nieces, Anna and I will find her, and one of her cousins. See, my brain's just completely gone. So it is on two, yeah, it's on Anna and there's another girl, and it's on her cousins, Anna and Fanny, yeah. It is fiction, so it's written about the girls, but it's not necessarily all factual. But it has got some facts in it. It's got a lovely, oh my goodness, it's got the beautiful, look. It's got the family sort of tree, the Austen family tree, and I found it fascinating. I love Jane Austen. I want to read more books on Jane Austen. Jane Austen at Home is one of the books that in my Goodreads wish list that I've had on there for ages, and I actually need to get around to ordering. I love this book. I really enjoyed it. If you take it as a YA, so you take it as one that you know it's not going to be factual, you know it's not going to be like, it's not going to be like Jane Austen exactly. She's in it, but she's not all about, it's not all about her. If you take it in that way, then you'll like it. But not everyone's loved it. I'm quite surprised by it. I really enjoyed it. I think people should check it out and go at it, not going into it thinking it's Jane Austen. If they go into it thinking it's YA around that family, around that era, the YA take on it, you will get more out of it. The next one is which book have you read with the highest on Goodreads that you hated? Again, not the easiest. I've got two books here. I'm going to say two of them. First one was Bag of Bones. I hated it because it was by Stephen King. I'm struggling with Stephen King. It's the first Stephen King book I read. I didn't get the most out of it. I thought it was more horror, but it's actually probably more thriller. Didn't really love it, but that's because it's not for the genre for me, but it's got a high rating on Goodreads. Again, I think that's just me. I just don't think it's necessarily all for me. Sorry. Thomas, go bye-byes. And then the last thing is The Librarian of Auschwitz, which is one I read with the lovely Chloe, but neither of us loved it. I found it was probably my only book on Auschwitz that I didn't love, but I did enjoy it. But I didn't like it. I hated it, but it's actually got good reviews on Auschwitz. So I think each to their own. I think people could get more out of it than they do. Now, for tagging people, sorry about this, Thomas is coming right at the end and I do not want to refilm all this. I'm going to tag Berna from Berna's Bookish Adventures, Beth from Beth Chats Books, hello Thomas, and then I'm going to lastly tag Chloe from Chloe Reads Books. If any more, like I said, there may be more people in the descriptions that want to see this. I hope you enjoy it. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, not subscribed, ring on my dinghy. And I'll see you all soon. Bye bye.